Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Nashlie with the Garden of Nash, and I'm a techie who loves to garden. I'm here in zone 7B8A. Now you see this beautiful garden back here? This is not by chance. The garden is an all-you-can-eat buffet where the guests never want to leave, and I'm talking about those pests. So what we've done is we've broken those pests down into 5 categories. The worst criminals of the garden, and we're going to tell you about a one-on-one tactical guide on how to get rid of those pests and how to have a balanced ecosystem in your garden. So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. All right, so category number 1, these are the underground and early attackers. I include in this category the grubs, the ants, the Japanese beetles, even the June bugs. Now, first, let's look below the surface. Grubs, these little white C-shaped larvae live in your soil and they chew away at your plant roots before they turn into Japanese beetles, which are pest number 2. If your plants are mysteriously wilting or your lawn has dead patches, grubs are likely your culprit. Now, I dealt with this when digging my rose bushes and digging the holes to put the cow pots in, and I noticed those small C-shaped grubs. I was able to pull those out. Now, whenever you see those, make sure you take them out because it only leads to more Japanese beetles in the future. You can also drop them in soapy water, and some people even feed them to their birds or their chickens. Now, I don't have that, but sometimes I do see Japanese beetles on my quinoa leaves as well, or even June bugs sometimes I see on my wooded plants like the rosemary. So we want to get these out of the garden. Now, how do we tackle both the baby grubs and these adult beetles? Well, it's all about your interception. To stop adult Japanese beetles from decimating your foliage, we actually plant African marigolds, like this one. Marigolds contain compounds that mask the scent of your prize crops and actively repel these beetles. So for the beetles that do show up, however, you want to make sure you try something like neem oil. It's very strong and it disrupts the feeding patterns and reproductive cycles. Now be careful because neem oil also deters healthy pollinators, which you want to try to avoid spraying it in the morning when you see those pollinators. Now let's talk about pest number 3. Now those are ants. Ants usually eat your plants, but they act like tiny aggressive farmers. They actively protect against aphids from predators just so the ants can eat sap that the aphids help to collect. If you want to stop ants, they have incredible defenses against cayenne pepper and coffee grounds. So if you sprinkle these around your garden like a perimeter, it acts as a deterrent and they won't cross it. Ants absolutely hate capsaicin, which is the chemical inside of peppers like cayenne pepper, and it creates a natural barrier for your garden beds. Now let's talk about category number 2. These are the sap suckers, aphids, thrips, etc. Now these microscopic monsters, aphids and thrips, I see aphids quite a bit on some of my plants on the stems. Did you know that aphids, by the way, they clone themselves? They're actually born pregnant, some of them. Kind of weird, isn't it? I also see thrips on my Cape jasmine plants. These things are so small and soft-bodied, and we use their physiology against them. So you can create this barrier using diatomaceous earth. So diatomaceous earth, or DE, is made of fossilized algae. It feels like a fine powder and it helps with crawling or soft-bodied insects, and it's microscopically able to break down their shells and they eventually just dry out. So make sure to buy the food grade diatomaceous earth though, to make sure you avoid dusting it openly on flowers so that friendly pollinators can stay safe. Now for quick contact kill on aphids, nothing beats your classic soapy water spray. Now you can get a few tablespoons of pure Castile soap, put them in a gallon of water, or a thorough coat of neem oil, especially if you don't have heavy pollinators for that particular plant. Now category 3, we're talking about the squash vine borers and the cucurbit eaters. Whew. If you grow zucchini, pumpkins, winter squash, any types of cucurbits like cucumbers or melons, you probably noticed this pair, squash vine borers and the squash beetles or squash bugs. lays the eggs at the base of your squash stem, and the larvae bury inside the vine. Then they start to get inside and decimate your plant vine from the inside. Now, once on the inside, it's tough to fight, but our winning goal here is prevention. So we use BT, or Bacillus thuringiensis. This is a naturally occurring soil bacteria that targets caterpillars and larvae, but it's completely safe for humans, pets, and bees. You can use a syringe and you can actually inject the liquid directly into the bottom few inches of the squash stem, or you can spray it heavily around the base early in the season when the borer hitches inside. Its first bite is its last. Now, pest number 7 is your squash bugs, or beetles. Now, this is right alongside the squash vine borers. Now, they travel in packs, injects a toxin into the leaves, and they suck the life out of the plant. You can even see the small little yellow or golden eggs on the bottom sides of the leaves, and you can also use duct tape to get those off as soon as you see them. Now, another critter that I see a lot on my cucumber plants is the leaf-footed bug. These start pretty small as red or orange critters with black legs. They look kind of similar to an ant with funny legs, but they grow into be this huge, funny looking black, flat leaf-footed insect that bites into the sap of your cucumbers. Now, your best defense here is probably companion planting. You can interplant your squash heavily with basil or onions or chives. These strong oils from basil and the allium scent from onions, they totally confuse the squash bug's radar. Or you can try nasturtiums, which act as a decoy. They eat on those and those flowers instead of the flowers of the cucumber plant. Now, if they still break through your defenses, it's time for the heavy artillery, and that is what has worked for me: orange oil. When I spray these on these bugs as small orange and red bugs, they are killed on impact. It breaks down their waxy outer coatings and it dehydrates them really fast. So if you want a light flash of neem oil, you can follow with that to prevent future ones from coming. Again, you don't want to deter your pollinators, so you can try to monitor and gauge how much is too much and try to avoid doing this early in the morning. Now, one way I prevent these critters on cucurbits and similar vine plants like grapes is kaolin clay. So you can mix a few pieces into a gallon of water and then spray the white clay onto the stem and the leaves of the plant. It's pollinator safe, and it helps to protect smaller plants until they are strong enough to produce fruit and build up their defense mechanism. Now, category number 4, these are the ones I hate the most: the armyworms and the hornworms. I have long battled these in my garden, especially for my tomatoes and my pepper plants. I just saw some the other day. Now, if you see leaves that look like they've been chopped off by a miniature lawnmower, then you're likely dealing with armyworms or hornworms. They're sometimes hard to see, but if you look at them very closely, they blend in and they travel in groups. So usually if you see one, you see a few others, and they can defoliate a plant totally within one day. The hornworms, which really like tomatoes, are bright green and they can camouflage against the stem of a tomato plant. Now, speaking of voracious eaters, hornworms love to eat, and they actually poop out in the plants, and you can see it as well. By the way, if you think it's hard to find, you could come out at night with an ultraviolet light. It's totally something that freaks me out. Our strategy goes back to our organic MVP BT spray. Now, mix your plants and foliage with BT in the evening. The hornworms and armyworms eat the leaves, ingest the protein, and stop feeding entirely within hours. It's seen in turn from green to black and unalive them right there on the vine. Now, if you have a small garden, you can hand pick them into a bucket and put them in soapy water. It's highly effective and it kills them. But to keep them away from your tomato patch entirely, utilize your borders. You can also plant African marigolds and basil all around your tomatoes. The moths that lay the hornworm eggs absolutely despise the smell of marigolds and will fly right past your garden. Now, I want to talk about this 5th category, which I call the furry bandits: squirrels, chipmunks, moles, and voles. Now, there is nothing more heartbreaking than watching a squirrel take out a single bite of your tomato plant and leave the rest out to rot on the ground. Or have moles and voles dig up your precious plant roots or seedlings like it's digging for treasure. Because they are mammals, they actually share our flavor profiles. Specifically, they feel the heat. So to keep them from stealing fruit, you can create a barrier, a spice barrier, by sprinkling cayenne pepper directly on the soil surface. But if you want a deeper, longer lasting barrier below the surface to stop chipmunks, moles, voles from burying underneath your beds, you could try castor oil with cotton balls, or you can try fish fertilizer, which I can stand the smell of myself, and neither can they. But it coats the soil and the roots. They come in contact with it, making the entire area smell and taste absolutely disgusting. So you can coat those in the roots as you're actually planting your baby plants or transplanting. Fish fertilizer is packed with organic and easily available nitrogen and trace minerals that kickstart a rapid leaf growth. So it actually helps your plants heal from the pest damage pretty fast. Now finally, if you really need an option, just get a cover. Now it's very hard to cover your entire garden, so pick and choose wisely. What do you want to deal with when it comes to covers? So team, there you have it. That's our one-on-one tactical guide to battling all types of pests in the garden, what I call the top 10 most wanted. Now remember, a healthy garden isn't about eliminating all pests or all bugs. It's about having a healthy ecosystem. Some pests are actually helpful to your garden or help deter other pests. So by monitoring your garden daily or as much as possible, and by using these natural methods, you protect your food and you protect our incredible pollinators, and you still get to take home the win at harvest time. Now, if this video helped you build your defense mechanisms, I want you to make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and comment, share the video, tell somebody about us, and make sure, remember, the more you grow, the more you know. This is Dr. Nashlie with the Garden of Nash. Have you started your garden yet?